Welcome to the Rugby Players Guide to France, made just for you by BrightRock. A series of top South African rugby exports who spent time playing the game in France look back at life on and off the rugby field and what it was like moving abroad to play the bounce in a new part of the world. Welcome to the Rugby Players Guide to France. Behind me, the Arc de Triomphe, one of the most iconic monuments in France, in the middle of one of the most iconic traffic circles in the world. I've cycled around that traffic circle in rush hour traffic. It is terrifying, but it does give a close-up look at a vivid slice of French history. And history across the country is rich and carefully preserved, and that applies to this week's city, Nantes, and another very special rugby guest. Coffee and croissants with an honorary French South African. Bonjour, Monsieur van Zyl. Good memories of le petit déjeuner in France?
Bonjour, Dan. Oui, phenomenal memories indeed. A very special time. I'm incredibly grateful. But yes, coffee and croissants, most days started like that.
We saw your time in France through the lens of playing rugby, but for me the opportunity to go to France is so much more than just that, and the opportunity away from the game, learning this new country, this new culture. What was that like as an experience?
It was phenomenal, probably life-changing, to be honest. Going over at the stage I was in my career and joining a team that one could probably describe as reasonably volatile in terms of their, season-on-season performance. I was very realistic about what I hoped to achieve on the rugby field, and really looked at it as an overall life opportunity to have the chance to live in one of the world's greatest cities, speak a new language, immerse myself in a different culture, and had a lot of fun doing it. What a privilege.
What about the people you met in France, both as friends but also as fans? Because they do look like they like their rugby.
They do. They are incredibly passionate. I mean, there's a stark contrast between a South African rugby supporter and a French rugby supporter. I think the best way to describe it, and something that struck me quite early on, is I would say South African rugby supporters are quite discerning. They want their team to play a specific style that matches their identity. They want to see bonus points. They want to see 4 tries, and they would like a 43-0 win against one of the New Zealand Super Rugby teams. French are completely different. They would like you to win 9-6, no tries, a penalty after the hooter. There needs to be 3 fights, 2 red cards and a yellow card, because that makes for an immense amount of dramatic debate after the game. But what just really struck me is how they really live it with the team, the ups and particularly the downs.
And what about those emotions for the team? Because I've heard that as a team, French rugby sides are themselves quite emotional.
Absolutely. I mean, it was really quite hard to adapt to. The sort of post-loss mourning was something. Mourning, as in, a sense of loss, was extreme. There would be, even if the game was on the Friday night, still on the Monday, there would be a distinct lull in energy, which, I think for us as South Africans, we're quite used to putting it behind us, focusing on what's coming, and the chance to improve. But the French liked, in a way, to almost collaborate in a bit of misery for a while.
Something that would have offset that would have been the life experience and getting away from the rugby. You got to explore a fair bit of France. Tell me a little bit about the city of Nantes.
Nantes, like many cities in Paris, has got it's got a very particular identity about it. I mean, it's known for being the center of the public sector, and where an enormous amount of the overall French municipal admin is completed. So that's, I guess, sometimes people's first experience, is you ask where your social security card is, and people tell you it's in Nantes, but you've got no idea where Nantes is, how far it is, and do you need to go and fetch it? What also strikes one in coming from a country like South Africa is how much history, is steeped, or how much history there is in each big French city, how much tradition is built up, whether it's got, not directly related to Nantes, but, the South has a very certain way about it, as does the North, as does the East, as does the West. And so you begin to understand the peculiarities and the characteristics, the dialects, you know, how to speak to the people in the cafe. Yeah, it's a place, you know, visiting France, you know, and spending some time in different cities, you could be going to different countries.
Out of all of those experiences that you had away from the rugby field, what was the best of them in France?
Sure. There are so many, it's quite difficult to pick out one, but if you're going to push me on it, a few of us, under the guided expertise of one Brian Limburg, a Stade Francais legend and obviously a South African, but who went on to represent France, I think, 20-odd times. He arranged a weekend away for us in the lesser-known Sancerre Valley, where we essentially for 3 days, 2 nights, just spent time visiting some of the smaller boutique wine farms of the area. It's well known for its Sauvignon Blanc. And just spending time with the locals. They really put on an incredible show. I think we probably tasted about 682 different white wines and paired them with about 481 varietals of goat's cheese, as you do. But, you know, again, it was just one of those exposures that you can't find on a website in any sort of book, but that I'm incredibly grateful to have had and shared with great friends.
It's a life-changing experience, a wonderful journey on and off the field, and one I'd imagine you'd do again in a snap.
Without a doubt. I think, look, I wouldn't consider myself that well-read, but Hemingway was pretty much spot on when he said, once you've lived in Paris, there's a piece of you that never leaves. And I think that, you know, certainly from people I've spoken to and having had the fortune of being there for over 3 years, whether you're there for a week or 3 years, you know, it definitely does... You definitely do leave a piece of yourself there, a special place.
Just as some great rugby memories were left behind in France, Anton van Zyl, another great South African rugby player with a wonderful French story.